Welcome back to another episode of Scrollies. I am your host today, Ratnado of twitch.tv/Team Ratnado. And today, unfortunately, I'm flying solo. Well, not totally solo. Squat Cobbler used up all the juice in the barrelgram. He's unable to make it today. But he was so passionate about this that we had to continue going because our guest today is very special. You all know him. You've seen him around the Discord. You've seen his face, both hype and, I guess, in awe, and also angry, most of all. And, straight up, I'm just going to tell you, Plaidman86 of twitch.tv. Plaid, welcome to Scrollies.
Ooh, Ratnado, thank you so much. I'm very happy, very excited to be here. Thank you, buddy.
I remember when I asked you, you're like, me? Really? And I was like, dude, of course.
I get to be a guest star?
I know. I am always delighted by when I ask someone and they're like, yeah, I would love to do it. I'm like, yeah, tens of people will hear you.
Yes. Small step.
Oh my god. We have a lot of fun here, Plaidman. Thanks for coming in. Kind of short notice too with all this scheduling stuff.
Oh my god.
Plaidman86, if you guys don't know, he is a streamer that I found last March in 2021, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. He would continue to play it for a while before he decided to move on to Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Oh, no, yeah, I remember it was a year into COVID, and that was when I just started getting into streaming, apparently me and everyone else. And yeah, I was playing Metal Gear Solid 2, I was on Vamp, and I thought I was all by myself, but every beginner streamer, you got your small, humble beginnings, and then there you were cheering me on when I won. And I remember you were very pleased with my Raiden soundbite.
We've managed to avoid drowning.
Oh man, it was so good. I remember that and the Final Fantasy VII victory theme.
Yes.
Legitimately, I remember I was just going through Metal Gear Solid 2 streams because I was going to be doing that coming up. And then I was going through, I'd go into a chat, kind of like how Squat found me. I'd go into a chat and I'd be like, hey, how's it going? Do you like this game? And everyone just ignored me. 5 streams nonstop. And then we found Plaidman. I like to think that Plaidman is now kind of a staple of the community.
Thank you, sir.
Our local medical expert in a lot of ways.
Just a few. Not licensed to diagnose, but licensed to maybe take a gander.
to take a gander and give his 5 cents.
Yes, get some slightly informed opinions. You'll all soon learn to discover that Plaidman has many opinions. Oh, man.
If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. Plaidman86 at twitch.tv. You want to check out some of these Plaid rants. Our staff's name right now on the Discord is Plaid Rant Fan, because Plaid is very opinionated.
Yes, I am. I mean, some of it is legit views on how I feel about this game or that movie or Disney. There,
Cat,
I said it.
Don't turn it off. Don't just keep going.
Oh no, don't worry. I will be polite tonight. I will. And then some of it is just me. Every time, I've always viewed streaming as it's my chance, for stand up. And so part of it is just me being a caricature of myself, and just having some fun with it, being a little exaggerated.
Oh yeah. And tonight we are going to cut deep into that and get to the Plaidman, the real Plaidman, not Plaidman the character, not Plaidman the comic.
Right. Plaidman the comic. Oh my.
Well, Plaidman, we got to start moving towards it because you guys, he showed me his notes. Wow. He has notes, you guys. He studied, he's been working on this for, 3 months?
Well, no, this was just today. Well, like I told you, I've been so fascinated with your guys' little scrolly podcasts. I dig them. I think they're awesome. You guys do a fantastic job. The quality is superb. You guys do a great job, bouncing back and forth between each other, like being radio hosts. And that's another thing I like about streaming. It's like being a radio host.
Yeah. You're actually but you're in touch with the people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Plaid, what he did there, he did have some notes, and I want to get to it. I want to get to our topic today. But first, Plaidman, what you been playing?
Well, on my last stream, I was all over the place.
I do remember that.
Oh, but
We got about 15 minutes of Ace Combat.
Yeah, or less than. But I think my stream was founded on I think Borderlands 3 I started with, and Sonic Mania, and then of course my Metal Gears 1, 2, 3, and then per your expert advice, Rat, I was able to get my PS3 to work with my capture card. I'll take that, Sony. That's why I think of your capture hardware. And then I had never played Metal Gear Rising before, so got to experience that for the first time. That was a lot of fun. And then I had some Soul Caliburs, but I think my big ones are lots of Sonics. I would say Borderlands, but that's starting to fall out of popularity. And of course, Metal Gear. I do love my Metal Gears. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember that's kind of been the big three, I would say. Borderlands, Metal Gear Solid, and Sonic. There's some other stuff like you said you're putting in there. Metal Gear Rising has really kind of just taken off too. Like in a good way. You've been playing that for a bit now.
Yeah, I think I've experienced just about all of it now.
Yeah.
Maybe I could put it to rest. Maybe.
You've gotten the most out of the memes.
Yes. Well, it's like that article I posted in the Discord, how there's like a 1,000% surge of people playing it now just for all of its legendary memes and
nanomachines, son.
Soundtrack, its over-the-top characters and action.
Clearly, this whole trend started because of Plaidman86, right?
No.
It had to have been.
Maybe. I'll take a 0.1% credit for that.
Take 1%, 999% is pretty good for everybody else.
Yes.
So that's what you've been playing. Anything you've been playing, just on your own, off stream? Does Plaidman play games offline?
I do. There are times where I do just want to play games just for myself. It's like I don't want to have to worry about... Because there are times where I'm still figuring out, my setup, all my hardware, and there are times where my laptop will be extra slow, and I'll be like, forget it, I don't want to deal with this, I'll play something for myself. I've been playing Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition on the PC. That's one of my all-time favorite games, top 5 easily, Age of Empires 2. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Fantastic game.
Such a good game.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think that's going to be majorly advertised, one of the major headings of PlaidCon 2022, right?
Yes. Sometimes I gotta remind myself, what year are we in again? What year of COVID is this?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, we've had a lot of good discussion. Man, it's crazy that I've known you for over a year.
Yeah, and you've been so gracious to answer all of my silly boomer-esque technology questions. You and Squat, the Discord. Yeah. And you've been so gracious to let me join to the Discord. So I thank you, sir. Thank you so much and all your support.
Yeah, we love you. We love you. You're very special.
Very special.
You're great. We enjoy having you around. And I remember, for those of you who don't know, I knew that I was never going to get Plaid to make his own Discord. I just knew that was never going to happen. And so I was like, oh, we'll kind of do it like the Synthetic Saloon or something. Like, here, Plaid, here's your channel of it.
There's still time.
We're waiting.
Well, I tell you what, maybe when I get to 100 followers, maybe then I'll create my own official Discord.
Yeah, there you go. That's the plan.
There's a goal. Yeah. There's a milestone.
He said it on stream. It's locked in. This is legal. This is legally binding.
Yes.
Well, Plaidman, those of you who don't know him that well, if you haven't seen his stream, he is kind of a little bit of a Sega fanboy. He was there at the beginning, and those are topics we do want to discuss with him. Wait, hold on a second. There's a faint echo coming through the barrelgram.
Is it working? Right, you can't do that. The future will be changed. You'll create a time paradox. Oh no! Right, Vlad, don't talk about Sonic yet.
Oh my God, Squat, can you hear me? Oh, we lost him.
It's no use.
It's no.
Oh my.
Well, I think, Plaid, we have to honor Squat's wishes with the last itty-bitty 1% of juice of the barrel ground. We're not going to talk about Sonic today.
I think that's okay.
Man, I don't know. What do you want to talk about then?
Well, I think one thing that I like, another thing I like about streaming is when meeting new people, such as you, kind sir. And I think the most fun is had when viewers come into your stream and they start talking about, they come in and watch, the favorite game that you're playing, and it's their favorite game too. And we start talking about, the franchise, the characters. Well, what do you think of what they did in this installment, or this sequel, or prequel, or what do you think the future of the franchise is going to be?
Yeah.
And then, of course, then we start talking about favorite games, or more like, where'd you get started? Like, what was your first video game that you played? What did you grow up on?
Right, yeah.
And I think talking about what we started on, I feel like that's a subject I feel like we could probably do another time. I think that's like a very common, popular question. What was your very first video game? I mean, I will say right away, my very first video game I played was Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And I say them together because I remember playing on like the two cartridge combo.
Yeah.
But don't worry, Squat. It was Sonic the Hedgehog of 1991 that stole my heart. But anyway, and I know Rat and I were also talking about like the Bit War era of gaming. I love that era of gaming. It was so fascinating. It evolved not too fast, but at a pace that you could truly savor like every little milestone, every little evolutionary step that came with gaming.
Yeah.
But that I think about the Bit War gaming and or the Bit War era, and how video games were starting to become popular, but also you could see it in the forms of publications.
Right.
Video game magazines.
Let's talk about video game magazines.
Yeah, because now I was a graphic designer before I was a nurse, and I was thinking about this earlier, how I took a printing class, and it was kind of like a history of printing. We talked about all different methods like offset lithography, and I remember our instructor would talk about how certain methods of printing are going away. They're just old-fashioned redundancies, or no one wants to do them anymore.
Right. And
I was thinking to myself, like, when was the last time I got a magazine?
Ooh.
And it's been quite a long time. And I was thinking to myself, well, how are magazine sales nowadays? And, well, they're definitely dropping. I mean, they're still popular, but not as popular compared to like 10, 15 years ago.
Where you could find a magazine for just about anything, and there was always some sort of new publication. Maybe not monthly or, whatever, but biannually, 4 times a year.
I remember growing up with a number of different video game magazine publications, and now this was a long time ago.
Yeah. This
was the days before the internet, the days before AOL.
Oh my god.
Long time ago. Although maybe that's a little bit of an embellishment, because I think like AOL, the internet, was still like in its infancy, but either way, this was before we had YouTube, a place to like go to. It's like, how is this game, or what are reviewers saying about it? So we had publications, we had video game magazines.
Yep.
And they were so intriguing because, I mean, I was such an impressionable child, and I always thought it was so cool, thinking about it now, how they would make, the layouts, the covers, it would feature like this latest game, all the different colors, the typefaces used. But back in that era, like when I was a kid, a lot of these magazines, they were your gateway into knowing what's to come next.
Yeah.
What video game's coming out soon? Is it going to be what's the most talked about? But also, I'll never forget, like, this was back in the day when games regularly had cheat codes also.
Right.
And again, we didn't have the internet. So where did we get these cheat codes from?
You had to know somebody.
You did. There was always that kid on the playground who knew like that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 stage select code.
Yep.
It's like, I didn't know where to get it. It's like, you must be some kind of wizard. Where'd you come across this information? How many Jellos did it take?
It was truly a time when it was like, oh, I heard there's a rumor that if you press these buttons, you know what I mean? And also, like, you could even unlock characters, but
Yeah.
like you're saying, I agree. I think that magazines are such a 90s thing, and I know they were around before too, but like, even me, I was looking through like some of my old magazines. I have my Game Informer, which are a little bit newer, but Game Pro, Nintendo Power, Electronic Gaming Monthly, those are like the big ones. And just looking at them, you're like, oh man, this is so 90s.
Yeah.
If Squat was here, I imagine he probably wouldn't have much experience with this, because I don't know if he remembers a time before YouTube. He's probably old enough that he kind of remembers it, but there was a time before like the internet was everything.
Yes. Well, that's partly why magazines are starting to decline in sales. Mainly because just less popular because of the age of information that we live in, the age of instant accessibility. We want to know something, it's a mouse click away, or we just look at our phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when my older sister, she was the keeper of all the subscriptions. I mean, her being older than me, therefore she had a job before me, so she was able to buy all these fancy things before I could. But I distinctly remember we had Tips and Tricks, Game Informer, Electronic Gaming Monthly, still around, still very, very popular. Dreamcast Official.
Yo, Sonic! Man, stay off the light speed!
My bad.
Sonic Adventure on Sega Dreamcast. It's thinking.
Oh, of course.
We had the Dreamcast, PSM or PlayStation Magazine, Xbox Official, and yeah, I think those were the ones that we had.
Yeah.
And of course, we weren't raised on Nintendo. We were raised on Sega and Sony. So I live vicariously through my friends who had Nintendos, but I do remember hearing a lot about the legendary like walkthroughs of Nintendo Power. But that was like another thing. And I could probably loop this in with the discussion like strategy guides.
Yeah.
I feel like strategy guides are falling out of fashion as well, because you want to figure out how to beat a game, you just look it up, go to YouTube. And as we know, there's a YouTube for everything.
Yep.
But a lot of these game magazines, they would talk about, reviews, previews, walkthroughs. And I distinctly remember with Tips and Tricks, they had like the cheat codes section.
Yeah.
But again, this was back in the day when a lot of games had like programmers cheats, and also a Game Shark section. But there's no cheating, hacking devices anymore. Those are kind of frowned upon. And that was back then. That was the way to read about video games, and that was like the only way, like, to kind of educate ourselves before like we buy something.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I have so many fond memories, and it's interesting that you want to talk about this, because not so interesting, because I'm a little bit younger than you, but not that much more younger than you.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. And so like, it's interesting too, because to me, a love of a game that we both share, Metal Gear Solid, of a series, I have so many memories attached to video game magazines because of Metal Gear Solid. For example, I remember I had to have been in like elementary school, maybe in 6th grade, and I think it was Electronic Gaming Monthly. It came with a demo disc or like a cheat disc.
Demo discs, that's what I want to talk about too. Yeah.
Yes. All right, we'll get to that. I'll finish my story for you.
Yeah.
I have fond memories of taking that disc after I had beat Metal Gear Solid, and now I have this disc, and I remember putting it on there and putting on cheats and just being like, I remember I was sick one time and I stayed home from school. And I just played that all day, and I remember I was better the next day, like not faking it. I was sick, and I was like, I wonder if Metal Gear Solid and those cheats cured me. And
Snake passed his cold to you.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it glorified cigarettes to a very young, impressionable me, it was still very important.
It still had that Surgeon General's warning, though.
Yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, I mean, do you have any specific memories like that was tied to them? Because I do. I have so many, different magazines right now. I'd be like, I remember this time in my life. I know what this evokes.
The first issue that comes to my mind is Tips and Tricks Final Fantasy VII. I mean, that game was huge when it came out. Oh my goodness. and it was like a gray cover. Of course, it says tips and tricks on the top, and it had all of Nomura's art, all the characters on the cover, and it had a walkthrough for 7. And I don't know how in depth that walkthrough was. I mean, how do you cover Final Fantasy 7 a walkthrough in one monthly issue of tips and tricks?
Yeah.
But this is like another thing, like making these magazines. It's like the marketing tactics employed. Gotta use all those pretty pictures and the flashy colors. And that was the one thing I loved about these magazines. There were so many things like to look at. It's like being in love with video games and seeing so many pictures of like your favorite games to come. It's like, wow, what's that? Oh my goodness. But also, it also taught me how to read.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It is kind of crazy how much influence you get from that, both from video games and from magazines.
Mm-hmm. Well, take that, Mom and Dad. You can't say video games didn't teach me anything.
I know specifically, I remember I used semantics. I learned what that was at a very young age because it was in Final Fantasy VI. And people were like, how do you know that word? I'm like, I don't know. I just heard it around or something. Because back then it wasn't cool. You couldn't tell people.
Final Fantasy VI.
What? But this also ties back into a crazy thing. Do you remember the ads in there that would like try and like cheat what the game would be like? And so you'd be like, whoa, this looks so cool. And then there was this tiny itty bitty thing of what the game actually looked like. They were clearly throwing the art in your face and here's the box looked like.
Maybe a little bit. But when I just think about my own experiences, like with, say, Final Fantasy VII. Because when they were advertising Final Fantasy VII, they only showed the CG cutscenes.
Yeah.
You didn't see, like, those blocky, like, Lego figure-looking the figures. Yes, you didn't see those. They showed like what the PlayStation can do. They showed all like the fancy CG FMVs because you didn't get that on the N64. So of course we got to show off the graphical capabilities of the PlayStation 1. Yeah. But I think that was maybe kind of like a little bit of like a gotcha a little bit. Yeah. But then I think about like Metal Gear Solid 2, how when that game was advertised, they didn't show anything of Raiden. It was all Snake on the tanker. Yeah. And I think I remember later, like maybe like a month or two or like a couple of weeks after 2 came out and reading a PSM, and I didn't have a PS2 yet, but I remember they had a walkthrough on Metal Gear Solid 2, and as I'm looking, I was like, this isn't the tanker. What's this? Big shell? Who's Raiden? What? Oh, man.
Oh, man. It really was such a different time.
Yeah.
I remember through my dad's work, like, we did get some cheat codes, but I also remember getting him in, like, the magazine and taking him over to a friend's house and be like, oh, yeah. Now we're playing with power.
Oh, yeah. Like, I know, like, the Nintendo Power magazines, like, their legendary walkthroughs, like, specifically for, like, the classic NES games.
Yeah.
Like, with Castlevania. Yeah. I think, maybe, like, the first one, the second one, I mean, they told you, like, all the cryptic stuff in that game. I mean, that was your cheatcodecentral.com. That was your tips and tricks. That was your YouTube right there.
Yeah. I always wondered, had the internet not been the way it was and revolutionized everything, just imagine that, but video games are just as big. Would you and I just be reading magazines? Would we be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, look at this magazine? Because I distinctly remember being hyped for so many games of just the little snippets they'd put in magazines for months, years.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm really upset that my sister, and actually I think my older sister, I think she still has all of her Dreamcast official magazines. Ooh. But like the thing is, like, these magazines, they're like collector's items now. Like I was looking earlier, like some of those editions, if they're in good shape, they go for like $30 to $80.
Yeah.
But not only that, but I committed an ultimate no-no. Years ago, I sold my entire collection of Sonic the Hedgehog comics.
What?
I know.
How? What?
I did make a good pretty penny, but still.
My God. No. What?
But anyway, like it's nice having something tangible in your hands, because like another thing that's kind of fueling like the decline of print media is just like the cost of materials, ink, Kindles, iPads. Again, like the rapid accessibility of having a screen in front of your face.
Yeah.
But what I also liked about, well, back to the Sonic the Hedgehog comics, but just video game magazines, it was like a little nifty time capsule. Like a little window to the past. Like, see all like these classic ads, like for Burger King or McDonald's. And I think like a Game Boy like ads as well.
Yeah.
That was like some of those far out stuff. Oh man.
They really like it was wild. And even like I remember a little of that Wild West feeling even up until like 2004. And after that, it did kind of just change. And then we kind of just saw this rapid decrease in magazines. Did you keep reading magazines? How long did you keep reading magazines?
Well, I stopped reading magazines because I wasn't like a current gamer anymore. Like I'm the kind of gamer who gets a console or like a generation of consoles like after like a good year or two has passed.
Right.
And for that reason, like I didn't feel the need like to continue my subscriptions. I mean, of course I was still interested in the industry, as a whole and franchises, but because I didn't have this huge desire like to go get the latest and greatest thing, hence why I'm still not getting a PS5. It's like I just didn't feel this need to continue like my subscriptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a long time since I've looked at a good gamer magazine. But one thing I've noticed that some of these subscriptions, they offer like PDF versions of their magazines. So it's another way for these publishers to continue, their craft, continue, their journalism, and make it readily marketable to, say, millennials.
Yeah.
Not to say that millennials are fueling this, but that's part of our generation. We want everything right now. We want a screen. We want a couple of clicks and taps, and there it is. And that's what these publishers are doing.
Yeah. I wonder. I know that a lot of listeners are around our age, over into their 30s, and I wonder if that's a thing for younger people where they're just like, I don't care about physical, because right now I'm actually getting nostalgic and like. When you said tips and tricks with Final Fantasy VII, I looked it up because I wanted to see the cover, and I was like, I wonder if I could buy this off anybody.
Ooh, did you find it?
I didn't find it. There's nothing yet. I just did a little, like, I wasn't, I didn't want to get too distracted.
Yeah.
But I just did a little cursory look to see if somebody was selling it. It's like, that would be cool to have. Like, crazy, these magazines that were so dispensable to us. We've got that as millennials, that's, like you said, that's what we grew up with, and that's kind of crazy that I'm starting to come back around that on the other side now that I have, like, disposable income of, like, man, I would actually pay for like a really good magazine.
Yeah. Oh, another idea that came to my head, like a demo discs, and how like I remember Xbox Official, they would listen for OG Xbox. There would be a demo disc like every month, and the best one that I can remember was it had Soul Calibur 2 and Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, that's the plaid special right there.
But sir, this was about like the golden era of OG Xbox. Excluding Halo, because we could talk about Halo being the savior of Xbox until the end of time. But around that time, Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance was out for OG Xbox, and those two games. And those are the only games I can think of right now. But I just remember like those games being for Xbox, and those were easily like 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, and they still hold up to this day. But still, it was a novelty that these publishers would give you like a little taste of like a game that's still in development, and you get like early access. Yeah. Like who else is going to give you early access to their game? And I also remember like with Dreamcast Official playing original Soul Calibur. And also San Francisco Rush 2049.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great demo. But then I think about, it's like, well, whatever happened to demo discs? We got online stores now. We got Xbox Live. We got the PlayStation Store. You can get your demos there.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. There was a point where I was trying to, like a couple days ago, maybe it was a week ago. Maybe it was a week ago, but I was sitting there thinking, like, I want to go start digging around and see if I can find that stuff, because I know that I have a bunch of those discs somewhere. And then I looked at my PC and I'm like, I don't have a disk drive. I don't even have a way to use it anymore. Like, that's how outdated it is, because everything is just through the internet.
Yep, we gotta get rid of moving parts.
Oh, man. So crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I mean, we got to get moving towards the end here soon, but one last memory I have this very distinct memory in high school, summer football camp. And we went to the mall on the way home because, I was in a very, very small town. And I remember I went into GameStop, at the time, Electronics Boutique.
Yes. What about Funko Land? Did you have Funko Land?
We didn't have Funko Land out here.
But Electronics Boutique, still awesome.
Yeah, which, became GameStop down the way or whatever. But at the time, Electronics Boutique. And I bought, I think, Star Wars Masters of Terras Kasi on PlayStation.
I had that too.
Oh my god. But they sold me on it too. They're like, how would you like to get this card? Become a member for like $13, and you get a subscription to our magazine for like 6 months or something. The very first magazine that they sold with me that day was Metal Gear Solid 3.
Ooh.
And I still have that magazine here somewhere. I'm slowly going through my stuff searching for it. That was that blew my mind. This had to have been 2003 or something like that.
Yeah.
And oh man, I that's such a good memory, and of just the awe of what a magazine could do.
Mm-hmm.
A trailer couldn't do that. Even if we had the internet, I don't think it would be as impactful as building hype. That's kind of interesting that a magazine can build hype in a way that a 4K trailer on YouTube can't.
Yeah. It's it's like even when I was in that printing class, my professors would say, print is slowly going away, but it'll never die. There's always going to be those people out there that want to hold something in their hand, and absolutely, oh man, please tell me you remember. I'm gonna keep this PG. Do you remember BMX XXX?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
And Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
I was a teenager in the early 2000s. Yes.
me too. But I talk about these games because these games were a big deal, and I'm not gonna. Well, I'm sure you can figure out by the titles of those games why they were a big deal. But I remember, of course, publishers had to talk about those games.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting how these magazines also talk about in video game news and but what this would mean for the industry, the video game market.
Yeah.
That was a memorable issue. Not just because of what was in it, but it was the articles.
Yeah, I read it for the articles, of course.
That's right.
Mom, turn off the pod.
Yeah, but again, it's like what you said. It's different, being able to read that versus just watching a video.
Yeah.
I think you're more likely to absorb those words that you're reading in your hands versus just glossing over a TV screen.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, what did I just watch?
Yeah, exactly. And it lets your imagination run a little bit more, because I remember what Metal Gear Solid 3 was in my mind before I ever saw any trailer, because I was just I read about it.
Same here.
And the ideas, and I'm like, this is a revolution! What is going on? Oh my gosh. Oh, Plaidman.
Good times.
Did you? we should talk more about this. We should legitimately go through a magazine one time or something one of these days.
Oh heck yes! Oh, that'd be my pleasure. That'd be a lot of fun. Heck yes.
Well, Plaid, thanks for coming on to Scrollies.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, sir. You're too kind. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did we miss anything that you really wanted to get in there?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I think that is everything. Yeah, the video game magazine, a dying breed. I mean, I know there's still a couple of them around. I mean, Electronic Gaming Monthly, they're still going strong. Nintendo Power, of course. Oh, yeah.
Is Nintendo Power? I thought Nintendo Power
absolutely.
died. I don't think so. I
Nope.
think it's dead.
Nope, they're still publishing.
I am going to fact check you on that. I did look it up. It is dead.
What?
It died in 2012. They killed it.
What?
There might be some new Nintendo stuff.
Oh no, did I get out-researched by the rat?
Well, because I remember I was like a Nintendo Power guy.
Yeah. So you would know.
Yeah. And so I remember I was like, oh, I should get Nintendo Power again. I was like, oh, it's done.
Well, I know that a lot of these like console-specific magazines, like PlayStation, Xbox Official, I already said PlayStation. Yeah, those are gone.
Yeah.
And I found that very surprising. It's like, I always thought there would be a magazine for that console or that, company, Sony, Microsoft, or their consoles, but yeah, they're gone.
Truly a shame. Plaid, maybe you and I like to jump into these weird things. I like to make a wiki. I like to make a podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe we should jump in and make a magazine.
I still have all my Adobe softwares.
We'll come out with all the oldest information, but it'll look really pretty and have bright colors.
Mm-hmm. I still vaguely remember how to graphic design.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Plaid Power, the monthly magazine, coming to you someday.
Or Ratnado Monthly.
Maybe we'll have the 3 different flavors. I can maybe because you have an Xbox, you can do Xbox. I'll do PlayStation, and Squat, he can do the Nintendo stuff, and it'll come out just like that.
There we go. We're in business.
Plaid, thanks for coming on, man. Do you have anything you want to shout out? Anybody who's listening? Anything you want to tell people?
Aside from you guys, please check out Team Ratnado and Squat Cobbler, the thick boys. My older sister, Sega Gamer, and yes, you heard me right, Sega Gamer. She's my older sister, and she was the one who got me into video games as well. She plays a lot more classic titles than I do. She's a hardcore collector of Sega and Sega Saturn and Dreamcast. Oh yeah. So give her channel on Twitch a view if you'd be so kind.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. We'll be back next week again with another episode. Maybe the barrelgram will have refilled just enough. Cross your fingers, everybody.
Fingers crossed.
All right. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye.
Take care.